be living next to your neighbor for the last 10 years, don't even know him.
Right.
As opposed to yesterday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference. And I'm going to keep saying big difference as I, dissect on what I'm talking about. That's a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't even go borrow a cup of sugar from your downstairs neighbor without them even talking about you in these days. Peace to all my family and friends, and salutations to all my extended ones. I am your host, Elefante, and this is the other host, the Skipper. Today's topic is called Big Difference. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about, the era that we came up in and the era now. What a big difference. You know what I'm saying? As far as family values, things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? As far as the street perspective of it, also, it's a big difference. No more, like for instance, it's no more villages. You know what I'm saying? When I say villages, it's no more unity amongst the community as far as family. You know what I'm saying? It's a big difference. People in the neighborhood are not, together anymore. Like your neighbor, you could be living next to your neighbor for the last 10 years, don't even know him.
Right.
As opposed to yesterday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference. And I'm going to keep saying big difference as I, dissect on what I'm talking about. That's a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't even go borrow a cup of sugar from your downstairs neighbor without them even talking about you in these days. If you would probably, you got so much pride, you wouldn't even do that nowadays.
Right.
As opposed to yesterday. I used to, my mother, his mother probably could go to their next door neighbor, something in their house that they didn't have, whatever, toilet paper, whatever. How we gonna get some toilet paper from such and such next door without a care in the world?
Might write a note.
Yeah.
Might write a light note and you have to pass it off to the mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they really didn't want nobody in the business, but at the same time, it wasn't like it was something that was like shamed upon or whatever. The struggle was the struggle. Everybody was in it. You know what I mean? Especially living in apartment buildings or 3-family houses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because, if you lived in a 1-family house, chances are you didn't have to borrow anything. You know what I mean? But being that if you was like living in the real hood, living in the projects, living in apartment buildings or what have you, chances are it was somebody that you can go to and knock on their door and vice versa, and you can borrow a cup of sugar or some coffee, slices of bread, anything. You know what I mean? Anything that you needed just to get by for that, that moment or what have you. You know what I mean? So it's a lot different now. This is the what I call it. This is the lobster and crab leg era. You know what I mean? Kids don't know the struggle. They don't know anything. They enjoy ramen noodles because for some reason they just like ramen noodles, but they don't know that that's a struggle too. I mean, that's really a poor man's meal. But at the end of the day, they love it. But you get people now that they cook gourmet meals, or they may go out to expensive restaurants and stuff like that. Whereas it was a treat for us to go to McDonald's. Like, think about it. When they built McDonald's down the avenue, I remember every Friday after school, I used to go to Martin Luther King, run down there. This was like the 6th grade. So I remember leaving school and going to McDonald's just to get like a Big Mac fries and a soda. You know what I mean? Or fish fries and a soda. But it wasn't no more than $5 for that. If that was more than enough.
You held on to that $5. I had a $5
bill. It carried me. That $5 bill carried me.
You know what I'm saying? Big difference.
But now you get that type of meal, you're gonna be paying like $17, $10, $12 to $17 for it. It's a big difference how things are from back then to now. Big difference. You know what I mean?
And with that big difference is, how you said you held on to that $5 while with the Friday because you know what you was after.
Right.
You give your kid a $5, he looking at you like,
right.
What's this?
Right.
I need more than that, Dad.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, the big difference also is, like my man just said, those meals that we used to get, that was a luxury.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The difference between today and now, the kids nowadays parents that allow their kids to even, Mommy, go to McDonald's, go to Dunkin' Donuts, I want a coffee before I go to school.
Word.
You do that for your kids?
Coffees.
Coffee was like a sick. I couldn't even have it.
Starbucks.
Yo,
Forget about Dunkin' Donuts. You got some kids that drink Starbucks, like lattes and chais and stuff like that.
Yo.
Like they really be hyped on the real petrol, for real.
I wouldn't even dare ask my mother for no coffee. My coffee was like a cigarette when to me when I was little. Like you couldn't. I wouldn't even dare try to drink coffee. I wouldn't even dare ask my mother nothing like that. Could I have some of your coffee or whatever? I knew that was off limits. You know what I'm saying? These kids nowadays, they have the audacity to even ask their parents such certain things that you know was out of bounds.
Pardon me for a second. I got this exotic water drink from my cousin Kewan Miller. He's selling these right here. If you guys know Kewan Miller, he's selling exotic waters and stuff like that to hydrate you, to give you energy, you know, stuff like that. Kewan Miller, I forgot everything. But anyway, if you know Kewan Miller, he's selling these drinks right here, these exotic waters and stuff like that.
I like to say something too. I like to give a shout out and represent my cousin, Montreal Huff, 510 Park Street. Amazing gift. You know what I'm saying? Go get your urban clothing, you know, city boy shirts, things of that nature. You know what I mean? But anyway, let us move on.
Alright, well, you want to keep going? You can keep shouting out people. Shout out my little cousin Adri. She got Curbside Vibe.
Okay, yes.
Food truck, and she put it down. My cousin Chad got Perfect Pound Cakes. He put it down. Sheen got what's Sheen thing again?
Check my boy Brian Young out on Park Street.
Right. Tashina Lee, she got her place where she do her shakes and her food drinks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few people that we know give their roses or their flowers to. Having black-owned businesses and stuff like that. And then that can add on to
I got my Boricua brother, my boy Calito from Dutch Point. He got the rolling disc truck. You know what I mean? Catch him out there over there in the Jefferson Street Hospital area. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But this can add on to this big difference too. How there's a lot of like young entrepreneurs, and it was entrepreneurs back in the day too. But you seen more European stores, but now you've seen a lot of diversity when it comes to like, you know, black-owned businesses that's up on the rise. Of course, you got the bodegas and stuff like that, and West Indian stuff, and you know what I mean, Asians and all of that stuff like that. So it's a big difference right now. I mean, it's becoming cluttered, but it's necessary to keep the money generating. You know what I mean? As long as there's money generating, a town will never go broke. Even if a town looks broke. Even if a town, like, I mean, you can go to certain towns and you can tell that those towns don't have no money generating around the town. You know what I mean? But as long as there's black-owned businesses in these cities, you have to support these black-owned businesses because this is the thing that keeps the town going, whether y'all believe it or know it or not. Those black-owned moms and pop businesses, they're the ones that's like the driving forces in the city. We ain't talking about travelers. We're not talking about these big corporations, companies, insurance companies, none of that stuff. They do what they do anyway. But we talking about the mom and pop stores that generate the money that keeps the city going because, you know, that it keeps circling. It's going to keep circling around.
Generate like that,
Well, not to, you know, sorry to get off the topic and all
but it's
that.
But that's still pertaining to a big difference. So what you're saying is still pertaining to a big difference because that wasn't yesteryear. We didn't have like that as the accumulation of it is now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, don't go somewhere different with the conversation a little bit. Think about how, like, with the big difference, like how back in the day you could drive down certain streets and you knew that it was kids on the streets. It's kids on every street. It's kids on every street, but kids cannot, and their parents will not let them play on their blocks no more how kids used to play. You know what I mean? Being that it's rough. It's definitely rough neighborhoods and stuff like that. You know, it changed over the course of time, being that in the 70s and 80s, you'd be able to go outside and if it's hot outside, they'd turn on the fire hydrant. You had a whole block outside. Now, I mean, it's hard to even find a swimming pool open around the way. You know what I mean? Like, things that changed so much. Community day, none of that stuff.
Block parties,
none of that stuff.
Remember, you used to open fire hydrants and things of that nature.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, we used to, I don't mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like you said, we used to be able to play outside, build crates up on a pole, and play basketball, football in the middle of the street, 2 hand touch in the middle of the street.
Kickball and find a parking lot,
jumping
a
jacks.
lot,
What's the girls playing on the side with the jump rope, like you said earlier, double dutch is going on while the boys doing their things. Hopscotch. Rap rover, let Harvey come over and things. Yo,
all of
that
stuff.
big
Even,
difference.
you don't even see kids playing hide and go get. They don't even play. They would rather walk around town. I'm just saying. Yes, loved it. But I'm saying, you don't exist anymore.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
Kids ain't kids. We was being kids when we were kids, yo. You heard me, huh?
13, 14, 12, 11.
We wasn't even trying to embark on a street life, being a criminal. You understand what I'm saying? Nowadays, big difference. The younger generation, the new generation, whatever, however, coming up, they want to be.
Right.
They want to try to present themselves as street guy or gangster.
And then there's a
big difference, man.
Hold up. And then it's crazy because now everybody's street. Even the nerds, even the dudes that's straight A students, they look street. Back in the day, you knew the difference, man. You knew when a person shopped that from the JCPenney catalog, opposed to shopping on Delancey Street, Orchard Street, all of that stuff like that, or
Age Fashion,
125, or Age Fashion,
Califas,
or what's that place downtown? What was that? Newberry's. Oh yeah. Remember Newberry's?
ABF Fashion. We didn't shop at. Yeah, I remember we were at the corner.
And all that right at the corner.
Newberry's had everything. They had albums. You could buy albums.
Everything, clothing, whatever. Like you said, Age Fashion, the Richardson Mall, and all of that stuff. Whatever. Go to the city center. But Herbs and all of that stuff back in the days. Like you knew the street dudes opposed to the nerds and stuff like
everybody
that.
Everybody played their position, man.
Everybody. The nerds ain't even talk like how the street dudes talk. But now you can't tell who is who.
I don't know if they're from Waterbury or Hartford around here anymore.
Well,
I'm
all hoods, but at the same time, I'm just saying Blue Hills Avenue, not Blue Hills, Bloomfield, Connecticut, or Windsor, or what have you. Those towns were looked upon as different towns, as the sticks, for real.
The elegance, you know what I mean? The upper echelon, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You came from Windsor when we was young. Oh, he from Windsor?
Yeah, Windsor.
Manchester too.
Even deeper. South Windsor.
But
Simsbury, it gets a little bit different for that.
I used to, I had an aunt that lived in Manchester, right? Back then when I was young. She lived in Squire Village. Big difference back then than it is now. Squire Village. Yo, you know what?
Right.
Yo, I used to go out there and, once a weekend sometimes. Yo, the air was different. It smelled beautiful out there.
It's wide open.
Yeah, I'm talking about back then. Big difference. Now you couldn't even get in black. It was rare.
Yeah,
that you could be black and live in Squire Village.
Behind the congestion of the city opposed to the town. When you're dealing with the town is more open. So the air is a little bit different. It's more trees.
It's more trees.
You know what I mean? Whereas that city, there's not a lot of trees, and then
they dump everything in that motherfucker.
And now you got these buildings at the top of buildings. Now you got different types of spices and smells coming out of windows and stuff like that. You know how that thing goes.
Yeah, that's what the lad.
You don't have to talk about all of that, but you know what I mean? But the big difference, how it was. You knew the gangsters. You knew the stick-up kids. You knew who was who. Now you don't know nobody. You don't even know if these dudes from this side of town or from that side of town, unless you beefing, like really got real issues with them. And then, because everything is the same. Everything is cliche. Everything is North Face, hoodie, sweatpants, boots. Or now it's to the point where they're wearing real tight, the skinny jeans with the
blouse shirts almost looking like
the little skinny jeans with the hoodie and Crocs. Like, this is real. Like, this is where it went now. The thugs is to the point where they're wearing Crocs, man.
Outside.
Hospital shoes, man. They wear hospital work shoes.
You know what? That's why.
Real.
Yo, can I tell you something, bro? That's like flip-flops almost. How could you want to be, and you got beef, why would you want to have yourself, like that's a violation from where I come from. I don't mean to veer off, but yo, in jail, you and your flip-flops in the day room in jail back,
Right.
That was a violation. Motherfucker like, yo, put your sneakers on, bro.
Right.
You never know when it's gonna go down. Right. And that's why them Crocs, when I be like, looking at y'all gangsters, y'all fighting out here, y'all got beef.
Comfortable.
Wearing Crocs?
99% of the time.
You get what I'm saying?
Not even 99, that's giving up too much. But just
80%
of the time, they're riding around in cars anyway. So they're not really out. They're riding around in cars, and you know what it is from that point on. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't no real worries. It ain't no real issues. They really don't have.
That's a big difference for what we come. Real big difference.
You couldn't. It was certain blocks you knew if you ride down and you come down,
The car getting brick.
yeah, something gonna happen. But sneakers getting taken, the sheepdog getting taken. But you knew the difference. You knew who shopped from J.C. Penney's or Sears catalog from the people that shopped from like 125, 42nd Street, Delancey and Orchard. You knew who shopped Fulton. You knew where people shop. You know what I'm saying? Back then. Where it is now is like everybody shop. Everything is the same. Everybody wear the same clothes, so you don't know who is who and what is what. You dig what I'm saying?
We do.
I mean,
you and I. I'm just saying. I'm
I'm
just like
saying,
to put that out there. I know.
It's just weird.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and everybody looking at things from a superficial part. You know what I mean? These days, big difference. You know, big difference. Like when we, like I said, when we was coming up, yo, we didn't never try to want to be with the in crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody's trying to be in.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, never. We never did that. Yo, we embarked. It embarked on us.
Word.
The streets. You know what I mean? It fell in our laps. You know what I mean? We wasn't chasing after being criminals. I mean, you know,
But it was cool though. At the end of the day, it was cool. It felt cool.
It felt cool.
To indulge into the street.
Yeah, but we was naive. It felt cool because we just, you know what I'm saying? But
I mean, a lot of these kids do things because they're lazy. We did things because it was cool. And what I mean by lazy is like a lot of kids don't even give themselves a chance now to do what they need to do because it was better for us than it was in the 70s, in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that back in the 50s. It was better for us. It was better for them now than it was in the 80s and the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And it's better now. The opportunities are endless. Whereas that you can even start your own thing. You can get online and do what you want to do, and you can blow up in a matter of minutes.
At home.
You know what I'm saying? At home.
You don't gotta go to work.
You don't have to even leave your house. But the laziness kicks in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the timing is nothing, but it means everything. It all depends on what you're doing with it. And whoever deals with their time is all about how they live with their time. So a person can be like, man, I'm bored in the house, right? But then you go outside, you're not really doing nothing, but so much is going on around you, it appears that you're doing something. But you in the house, it's just you in the house. But you don't know that you can be doing a lot of things. It's like time. Time means everything, but time don't mean anything if you don't make it count. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it's all about what is it called again? What we call it again?
What's that?
This segment.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference in a lot of things. There's a big difference in going back to the food culture. There's a big difference in how we came up and how it was a treat to. I remember when I first tasted Subway. I remember where I was at and everything. I can remember that. I can remember the time when I ate a Subway sandwich, man. Ray aunt, Rondell Chambers.
Yes, when I know you.
Yeah, they brought Subway sandwiches home. I'll never forget that. We was at his house and I had a Subway sandwich. You know what I mean? From that point on, you know, Subway was the move. But that was like a luxury because you never really seen Subway. You never really seen Wendy's. If you went to Wendy's, that was a treat. You know what I mean?
McDonald's and Burger King
was around the way. It was good.
But I'm saying McDonald's was the number one back then. Then Wendy's, like you said, Wendy's
was a different level.
Exactly.
Like, that's one step above, like almost going to a restaurant. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Wendy's, especially back then, like in high school and stuff like that, we used to leave. We used to run, you know,
downtown Wendy's, Civic Center.
Right. When we used to leave, go from the lunch wave and fly down to Wendy's and order some food and get back to school. You know what I mean? Right before our period, our lunchtime. You know what I mean? The wave was over. It was just a different time, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference. Everything is different now.
I want to piggyback off what you said about Subway because I remember my first time getting Subway, and this goes to my brother Dwayne Roberts, you know, because he used to bring me up to his college every weekend and shit, trying to get me to feel. It was a feeling they was trying to get me into, you know what I mean, prepping me. Right. So, but that being said, that's why I had my first Subway. And Subway was making its rounds at this time in Connecticut in the early 80s. Because we had no Subway. I didn't even never see Subway.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I remember how Subway looked, because I talked to my brother about that like 2 weeks ago about Subway. Because I thought about you, and I brought that to his attention when I first had my Subway grinder. It was up at UConn. It was the store. We went to college. Right. And I remember they had a Subway like the makeshift subway. You know, the subway.
Right, it was a different sign.
It was like a van, a bus. It was gray. I remember that.
Okay.
We went on. No, it was at the university.
Okay.
It was in stores area.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? This wasn't in it.
Right.
Where we from. Usually that's whole.
Right. See, that's what I'm talking about.
And that's how my first grinder.
Things a big difference, man.
Big difference, man.
I mean,
that's when I knew that was the emblem. So
right.
No.
Even thinking about going from back in like 30 years ago, you can go down certain like main strips where the buses go. Like just say for instance Vine Street. 30 years ago, you could ride up the street and it wasn't cars on both sides of the street.
No, it wasn't.
Now,
you had them on the right.
cars on both sides
of the street. Cut it up.
Back then, it probably was an average of probably 1 car to a home. Now, man, it's probably 3 cars to a home right now. You know what I mean? Maybe more. You know, some places, when you go some certain areas, you might see cars parked on the lawn, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Cars top.
Never see that.
On top of cars, all types of shit like that.
Yo,
I mean, it's a big difference.
I see that every hour.
It's crazy. It's congested. But then look, this is what they did too. They really threw a wrench, a black eye in the game with this. They got cold on us low key when they shut down Stone Village, Chappelle, Nelm Court, Dutch Point, Charter Oak. Once they did that, man, that big wave, that tidal wave of people came to the north end. I mean, they came to the north end, and that just changed the game. That had to change the whole trajectory of like demographic when it comes to like people and the volume of people now. Now you see things, you don't even know people. That's another big difference too. What we was talking about as far as like knowing your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even know your neighbor. Like what do you know? Like you can't, like you don't know who this person is. You can live on the street now and don't know. Like from Enfield Street days, man, you knew people from up the street to down to the corner.
And they don't have our back.
Even down on the other side of Enfield Street.
That's crazy. That's
all
real.
the way up to like down in Western Street, Rockville Street somewhere. We knew who was who.
And that's why we never had no worries.
Word.
When we was doing our thing, because we knew everybody. Everybody knew us. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was calling the cops on us. You know what I mean? When you trying to make a dollar, feed your daughter, everybody was with you. They wasn't with you in a way they condone what you were doing. They was just with you because that's my neighbor.
Right, you knew.
And I knew Harvey and Mara's kids, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Even if around the corner, the lady that I knew on info, she didn't even know my mother, but she knew me. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is, yo, I lost sight, man, somewhere along the line. My plane slipped up. But anyway, yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like the big difference is like so much has changed. The diversity has changed for the better, but also when you like people like us that be stuck in our ways and we want to see things like, you know, how people reminisce the 80s. And, you know, me, I love 88. I was
you and I both, you know we love 88.
Yeah, I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know, like, what 88 was like. Like, that was a different, what they call it, nostalgia. It was crazy.
Flourishing.
When you talk about girls, when you had sets of girls on different blocks, you had
we did that.
dudes, man, we had that, man. We had those crews, man, the boogers, the fire hydrant hoes, chicken,
the crumbs,
But we had the mean crews back in the days that was down by law. I'm talking about down by law and was fly.
Chris,
they know who they are.
You know what I mean?
Like I can let off a whole arsenal.
Dudes don't get that, yo. They don't. Go ahead, man.
Man, shout out to them girls from back
for
in the
real,
day,
man. Salute all y'all, man.
I missed that time.
Yo, of course,
definitely.
Of
course. And I know that I still see. But we was able to. Back in the day.
You know the thing about us, bro. We was at we. You know what? Like you said, we stuck in our way, but we're really not because we're versatile.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what makes it so great, yo.
Well, when I say stuck in
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But I just wanted to get that across, though.
Yeah, but I say stuck in my way.
You ain't stuck in your way. You're definitely not opposite. I know what you mean, but
I just want to have people understand that to us, that atmosphere was comfortable, and you want what you had. You dig what I'm saying? That time was beautiful, man. It was
gorgeous.
It was a beautiful time.
Yes, it was.
You know, to come back full circle to do the knowledge to everything, man, has changed. There's a big difference. Nobody's the same no more. Friends ain't the same no more. You can't deal with children the same no more. The educational system has changed a little bit for the better, but probably for the worse, because now you pushing people that's in there that's teaching that really don't want to be there. They don't really, they're not giving enough money to these people, the people that means the most.
Exactly.
That they should get more money to inspire them to do what they need to do. You dig what I'm saying? Because that's a heavy job. I mean, the best job and the hardest job in the world, you can look at people going out to sea doing different things and firefighters and cops. And no, them teachers, because that's second place to a mother. You know what I mean? Raising a house full of kids. A mother may deal with 5 kids, but the teacher dealing with 20 kids.
30.
You know what I'm saying? And these different attitudes and stuff like that coming from the home, so they need to get paid more. But it's a big difference.
But it's a big difference too also though with teachers also. Some teachers don't care, but as a I'm not saying all of y'all, but I know who the teachers they are. I know who they are because I'm in tune.
Right.
As opposed, no disrespect to the teachers of now, but there's a big difference between the teachers that I knew. The teachers was loving.
Right.
No, the teachers are still loving to this day still. But what I'm saying, it's still a big difference.
I mean, it makes it hard to deal with teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it hard to deal with students because of how the parents are with the teachers.
There you go, yeah.
You know, it's already an attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That testosterone game is on 1,000. That estrogen level is on 1,000.
But now there's a big difference because everybody's trying to put your kids on drugs. And they see a little itch, a little glitch in your kid as opposed to yesterday. Or something's wrong with them.
Right.
ADHD, that's what I mean.
Right.
Everybody trying to dictate your kid because, damn, man, my kid 9 years old, so I don't care if he flee from the classroom. He just...
I mean, the title. Once you give a person a title, that gives them authority.
You get what I'm saying?
That puts it in a different category when you put a name on something.
You get what I'm saying?
Man, most of
that's what I mean by
we grew up, it was crazy kids, ADD.
We didn't even know. But we didn't know.
It was what it was. Just dealt with that shit.
And they got out of that.
Yeah, there was some nut ass motherfuckers running around doing some nut ass shit.
And it was with us. It was our boys.
Yeah, that was really some nut.
You know what I mean? For real.
Shit like
that. It was our boys.
Yeah.
Hey, but I know what I wanted to say. That goes back to piggybacking off of what you were saying with the gentrification part about the projects. You know what I mean? How they close everything. That's part of the gentrification.
Right.
What you were talking about, and how everybody's coming to the area of the North End, Charter Oak, and they got Stove Village closing down now. Now they're coming to Vine Street where the rifles are at. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Those are
I mean,
they got to come in.
You squashing the old beef is squashing.
Yeah, but what I'm just saying, listen. What I'm saying is, I'm thinking from their level. The man.
Right.
What he had planned, because first he had the project. That was a project. Let's make a project.
Right.
The project.
But they don't need the project.
But no, what I'm saying is,
birthed the project.
Listen what I'm saying. How they came. Listen how they conjured this shit up with the project. The project was a project to them. See what we can do. 20, 30 years, we get rid of the projects. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a big difference. I'm just saying from the big difference how they work it. And then put them back to the area of the corners and the streets. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the projects was designed to keep people to people to see certain things and move in certain ways. You know what I mean? Nowadays, they don't need no projects. All they need is social media now. But social media changed the whole game.
But I'm coming from the man perspective, the Caucasoid.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. They don't need to have people congested in projects no more.
No, I know that.
You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying, what the project and us living on the streets, it became black boys beefing with projects.
Right.
So you get to follow me now.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, as that progressed, now they got rid of the projects. Now the opposite, what we call ops nowadays, are moving to the areas of where there was the beef, and then the kids coming up now. They don't even know nothing about our beef, but they have veiled no court that we have beef with. Now they moving on Vine Street. That beef accumulates, so because they all, like you said, you get what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You follow me?
Yeah.
I took it somewhere else probably, but still got to take it.
You didn't take it nowhere.
I'm looking at it. I be going far sometimes because I see what they be doing, bro.
Yeah, but
you fathom? But it's a big difference, though. It's a big difference of how me and my guy right here, we have a big difference.
Right.
You fathom, brother?
So with the big difference, we have to make a big difference.
And what we
at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? And that goes to say this. Check out Campfire Talk, the podcast. It airs every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Be there or be square. But I know most of y'all wouldn't be there anyway because y'all are squares from Delaware or wherever you're from. You dig me? We shooting for the universe and galaxies when I know most of y'all ain't doing nothing but shooting for the street lights because you ain't been nowhere. Check y'all the word of the day.
Well, let me say something before you embark on the word of the
Let's
day.
get to it.
Hey, yo, listen. Yo, family first, y'all. Grab your family, man. Make a difference with your family. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Be that difference. You know what I mean?
Word.
If you have to, incorporate some things that's from the past
Word.
to incorporate with your children's lives, do that, yo. Make a big difference. Bring that difference that we had back then until now, because ain't nothing new under the sun anyway.
Word.
Anyhow, go ahead, bro. Shoot.
Word of the day. Make it home, man. That's the end game. Make it home. Make it home. Whenever you leave your house, think about getting home. That's the end game. Knowledge. When we put them things together, you know what it means. So we're going to sign off with peace together. Integration
For your black nation.
Peace.
Peace.